Thank you, NPRD and Jan Swastha Abhiyan, to invite me for this very important session on Palestine and disability. When I got this invitation, I was thinking that what would I speak because my topic was Palestine and India's disability movement. And I jotted down few points to speak. And there are several profound issues on which you can speak. And you know, I felt that when I was writing about Palestine and how India's disability movement should approach the question of Palestine, I was in deep pain and anguish. But when I joined around 3 p.m., I joined and I saw there were few Palestinian comrades talking to each other in Arabic. And all of a sudden, one comrade translated something for us. And she said that, we are talking that in Palestine, we are always late. And we thought that we are having this program abroad. So they will be on time, but you guys are also late. And that made me chuckle. That made me chuckle for two reasons that yes, we Indians are always late and we started late. But at the same time, the people who are under tremendous pressure because of secular colonialism, the war which is going on in Gaza, you know, they have their own resilience and, they have their own, smile with them. And that nobody can take it away from them. And that was a great lesson for me in human resilience. Um, I'm a professor of law, and my specialization is international law. I'm also a person with disability, so I work in critical disability studies. And I also look at India's disability movement with close quarters and in a very critical pursuit. So I will be speaking on the failure of international law, which is my discipline, and how should India's disability movement approach the Palestine question. So my first epistemic provocation for this is that Palestine is debilitated and Palestine is disabled. And that is why it requires the profound empathy of India's disability movement. So let me elaborate on this point that Palestine is debilitated and Palestine is, disabled. Now, the way Israeli state and its military, uh, puts the entire Palestinian population under its sovereign authority and it wears down them slowly. That is something, that makes every Palestinian body a disabled body. Now, philosophers have talked about it. They have said that not every disabled, not everybody might be disabled, but they are destined to be disabled. And when you are in a situation where there is a constant bombardment, when there is a settler colonialism, which has a very brute machinery of war, you know that even if you do not have a disabled body today, it is quite high likely that you will be disabled tomorrow. And that is the situation of the Palestinian population. And that is why I said that Palestine is debilitated and Palestine is disabled. Now, what happens that how Israeli state misappropriates the language of disability and also the language of LGBTQ plus right. Last year, I think Netanyahu, I did not hear this year's speech because I wanted to boycott him. Last year, when Netanyahu spoke about it, and then he talked about, that how LGBTQ plus people are wrong or disabled people are wrong in supporting Palestine, while Israel has a good record on supporting disabled rights and LGBTQ plus people, I found it extremely mendacious and also, preposterous in a way. Your pink washing and your disability washing cannot take away the genocide of the Palestinian people. And world has to acknowledge it. Western democracies has to acknowledge it. And I would like to highlight this point that when we talk about, the hypocrisies of Western democracies, hypocrisies of, of Israel on this question, I would not like to spare my, my own disability movement here in India. Now, India's disability movement primarily projects itself as an apolitical movement. My primary idea is that though it projects itself as an apolitical movement, it is not. It is it is highly centered to the middle class issues, which talks about some concessions, affirmative actions in services, in employment, in education, but that comes with an ideology, and that ideology is not to take positions on the issues which have a profound impact on humanity. So I find it very political in nature, and that is why I condemn India's disability movement, at least the dominant ways, in which India's disability movement project itself, not supporting Palestine. But that does not mean that not everyone within the India's disability movement, not supporting Palestine. Uh, so, National Platform for Rights of Persons with Disabilities, NPRD, Jan Swasthya Abhiyan, etc., they are here to support Palestinian people. And I would like to assure my Palestinian comrades here that though the dominant, the ideology of India's and those dominant actors might not be issuing any statement in favor of you, there are voices who appreciate Palestinian, uh, idea of self-determination, and we support, a Palestinian cause of statehood. And we also appreciate this point that secular colonialism produces the biggest debilitation. Uh, I would also like to highlight one point which my Palestinian comrades should know, that the failings of international law, should trouble us. So international law, primarily after 1990s, after the dismemberment of USSR, was called that it is a rule-based, international law. However, that rule-based international law was always hypocritical, and it always served the interests of the Western democracies, especially United States of America and Israel. And we have seen that. And I think the failings of international law provides us a unique opportunity to question the impulse of settler colonialism that shapes the international law. I think, the report has just come, which clearly states that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza, and also even the International Court of Justice has said that it found the plausible cause that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. Now, all this, becomes a very, very important issue for the disability movement. At least the disability movement, which claims that it stands with the people anywhere in the world, people of global South, people of Palestine, people of India, the Dalit people, the Adivasi people, the women, and other. So that disability movement will continue to stand with Palestine. I will take 2 more minutes to highlight one point. The apolitical disability movement in India has relied heavily on the state agencies and very pro, state judiciary for gaining these rights. that kind of a apolitical disability movement has to be challenged, because that kind of a movement can never stand with the people and the right side of the history. Now, I will give one example for this. The dominant narrative, which is the very litigation-heavy disability movement of India, relied heavily on judiciary, and it projected one Supreme Court judge, Justice Chandrachud, as some kind of a savior of disabled people. Few days back, when he was giving an interview, he stated about the Babri Mosque dispute, that it was, erection of the Babri Mosque was the fundamental act of desecration. Now, that was the expression of majoritarianism. Now, that clearly suggests that these judges of Supreme Court and High Courts, they might be providing us some rights, some affirmative action in order to tweak their bad human right records, and they find disability or LGBTQ plus right as low intensity human right issues, right? So we need to appreciate that rights are political in nature, and accordingly we need to act on that. Bombay High Court, the way it has denied the CPM, you know, the right to hold rally in Azad Maidan of Bombay, clearly shows that our judiciary is very tilted uh, towards majoritarianism, right? So we all work within these very constraints, but yet we need to speak for the people. And I think, speaking for the Palestinian people is being at the right side of the history. So I have, all my solidarity for NPRD, for JSA for organizing this program, and my solidarity for the Palestinian people, because this is the cause of humanity, and this is the profound question, maybe the most important question of our time. And if we cannot show our solidarity with the Palestinian people, then we will be damned in history. I'm sure about it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
तो प्रोफेसर विजय ने बेसिकली ऑफ कोर्स उन्होंने अपनी सॉलिडारिटी जो पैलेस्टीनियंस हैं और उनके साथ दर्ज की, पर उन्होंने कहा भारत के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में कि दो तरह के यहाँ पे डिसेबिलिटी राइट्स के ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं. एक जो डोमिनेंट और मेन जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं वो एक्चुअली एक तरह से एपॉलिटिकल हैं, अराजनीतिज्ञ हैं, वो राजनीतिक हैं. वो ऐसे ट्रीट करते हैं कि डिसेबल्ड लोगों के जो हक हैं वो अलग हैं, आपका जितना भी बाकी पॉलिटिकल और इकोनॉमिक कॉन्टेक्स्ट होता है उससे काफ़ी अलग हैं. उन्होंने कहा ये सही नहीं है, ऐसा नहीं होता है, ये बहुत ही बिल्कुल राजनीतिक मुद्दा है और आपको हक मिलते हैं कि नहीं मिलते हैं, किस तरह से मिलते हैं, वो सब सवाल खड़े होते हैं जब हम लोग राइट्स की बात करते हैं, चाहे वो किसी भी सेक्शन के राइट्स हों, इंक्लूडिंग जो डिसेबल्ड लोग हैं. और उन्होंने ये भी कहा कि उसके दूसरी तरफ एक दूसरा भी मूवमेंट है जिसमें जैसे NPRD और JSA जिन्होंने आज ऑर्गेनाइज किया है ये प्रोग्राम, जो इस राजनीतिक और आर्थिक मुद्दों को समझते हैं और उन सबको जोड़ के हकों के बारे में और डिसेबल्ड लोगों के हकों के बारे में बात करते हैं. तो एक तरह से वही सही तरीका है जाने का, और इसीलिए हम सब लोग आज जो यहाँ पे हैं वो पैलेस्टाइन के साथ खड़े हैं, वहाँ के लोगों के साथ खड़े हैं, और उसी दिशा में हमको आगे बढ़ना चाहिए. तो मोरलेस हाँ. और बस एक और इम्पोर्टेंट बात शायद की कि जो लोग सोचते हैं कि ये सब राजनीतिक मुद्दे नहीं हैं, वो ज़्यादातर जो स्टेट एजेंसीज़ हैं, जो सरकारी तबका है, उसके हिसाब से काम कर रहे होते, तो वो अपने आप में एक फिर प्रॉब्लम होके खड़ा हो जाता है हमारे सामने. That's all. Thank you.